Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. You're with Noor here and welcome back to another video on the channel. This video is a very simple one and it's simply to do with asking you how much do you want to make, okay? Now, this is a really important question to actually understand and answer, because once you know how much you want to actually make, you can assess the different vehicles in question to get you to your desired level of income. Now, for many of you that are watching this right now, where, perhaps you got into entrepreneurship because you thought it was the only way to achieve your income goals, it's now more apparent than ever that entrepreneurship isn't the only vehicle in the market to get to your desired income goals, okay? Especially if your income goals are around 10, 20, 30, 40, even 50k per month. There are potentially some better alternatives out there, and we're actually going to discuss that in a bit more detail. Now, for context, when I actually got into entrepreneurship myself, which was about 5 or 6 years ago now, when I first stumbled across the whole SMMA world, I was sort of, pulled into the dream of making 10k per month, and I fell into the trap of assuming that in order to make 10k per month, this is the only vehicle that, I can pursue here in order to make that type of money. Now, fast forward to 2024, to make 10k per month specifically, there are far better avenues to go down than run a marketing agency if, for example, 10k per month is what you want to actually make. Now, if you want to make way more than 10k per month, then perhaps entrepreneurship is a better vehicle. But if it's just 10k per month, which for many people it is, that's the core number that people would tend to chase when it comes to starting an agency, there's so many better alternative vehicles that are in our peripherals right now in comparison to a couple of years back when I first got into the space, where it was heavily focused on running an agency and all that good jazz. So this video is just centered around that, understanding what you want to make, because this will simply set up the foundations for understanding what route you want to take in order to get to where you desire to get to from an income standpoint. Now, the first thing to actually answer here is to actually, have an understanding of how much you want to make. You need to ask yourself, how much does your dream lifestyle cost per month? Okay, now this is different for everyone, but it's really worth looking at, how much you would pay for your house, your mortgage repayments, for example, every single month for your dream house. How many holidays do you want to take per year? What type of clothes do you want to buy? If you're a fashion type guy, which there's nothing wrong with, by the way. What type of cars you want to drive, what type of food do you want to eat, how often do you want to eat out, etc., etc. It's really important to actually sit down and understand what your dream lifestyle, number one, looks like, and then number two, what it would actually cost, because this exercise is extremely powerful here, because number one, many people don't actually take the time to map out what their dream lifestyle looks like. So what they fall into the trap of doing is assuming another person's dream lifestyle based off of what social media, YouTube, and all that stuff constantly show you. So you live out another person's dream when in reality you may not want that dream, okay? You're just subconsciously assuming that's the right way to live, and you just want the same thing, when in reality what you want may be completely different. So that's the first reason to actually do this. The second reason is to simply understand the costs involved with living your dream lifestyle every single month, because you may realize that for many people that are watching this right now, you don't actually need tons of money to live your dream lifestyle per month. Now, a common misconception for a lot of people, including myself, is that you need millions of pounds and dollars in the bank to be able to live your dream lifestyle. Now, having millions in the bank does, of course, massively help. But when you work out the specific costs per month to live your dream lifestyle, when you actually break it down, you'll be surprised. Actually be surprised. For many people, or for some people, it would range anywhere between, 10 to 30k per month. Now, obviously, that's still a substantial amount of money, right? But it's nowhere near the range of, you need to have millions in the bank or need to make millions every single year to achieve that sort of lifestyle, okay? And it just gives you a sense of realism, and it gives you the possibility to actually know that this is achievable, okay? Because when many people, map out their dream life, and they got the houses, the holidays, the clothes, the cars, foods, and all that stuff, the experiences, for whatever reason, we automatically just put an obscene number on it, like millions of dollars every single year. That will get me my dream lifestyle. And as a result, it makes that dream lifestyle look further away than it actually is. You'll be very surprised to know that it's not going to be extremely high, at least what you the number what you think it is, and it will probably be a lot lower, okay? And it's important to understand that, because then it gives you a sense of realism, and you can start to map out essentially how much you actually want to make to live your desired life. And again, this will just then segue into what we just said here, where you start to map out how much you want to make, whether it's 10k per month, 20k per month, 30k per month, or even 100k per month, right? Once you actually get an idea of how much you want to make in order to live your dream lifestyle and finance things, and obviously live a life that you actually enjoy, you can actually have further clarity on the appropriate vehicles at hand that will get you to your desired state. Now again, this is super important to understand, because once you know how much you want to make per month, right, you'll then know whether perhaps a business is the best way to get there, a job is the best way to get there, perhaps some corporate structures where you can progress through companies, or even other alternative positions such as fractional roles and becoming a closer and becoming a setter, all that good stuff, okay? So we're going to get into that in a bit more detail. But the first part, it begins with understanding how much your dream lifestyle costs, and then understanding how much you want to make, so you have a clearer understanding of the vehicles at hand. And again, just to reiterate, and I'm constantly going to repeat this throughout this video and throughout my channel here with the direction that we're going in, people think that business is the only answer. I thought that myself. It isn't, okay? And you'll be very, very surprised. Now, here's the trap that everyone falls into. Without knowing how much you want to make, and without proper research here, you're going to fall into the trap of assuming that running a business is the only way to get what you desire, which is what we just went over, and it simply isn't. Now, whilst of course entrepreneurship, for example, it's an amazing vehicle, depending on the amount of money you want to make, there may be better avenues. And I'm just, there's so many different directions to go in here, and there'll probably be a separate vehicle going over alternative vehicles, a separate video, going over these alternative vehicles, but we can quickly go over them in this one. But, when it comes to running a business, it's fantastic, but it comes with a lot of costs. And it's important that as an individual, you don't get fooled by the marketability side on social media and YouTube, where you start to see big revenue numbers on the internet, but you don't see the full story. Someone can post the fact that they're making 100k per month, for example, but they have horrible margins, minimal profit, and as a result, they take home very, very little money, okay? And they're not actually making as much. Now, when it comes to this whole segment of, profitability versus revenue, on a much grander scale, right? On a much grander scale, when it comes to, companies where you're building to sell, for example, I appreciate how some people's profitability is actually extremely low, and they're actually playing the long game, and their sole purpose is to build up their share price and achieve a long-term exit. But when it comes to the industries and, particularly the areas that I'm talking of right now, where you simply want to be an individual that, you want to just make a decent amount of money here, you're not looking for a global exit of 100 million or anything of that nature here. The type of people that pursue this in the form of a business, but they have horrible margins, there's so many better options to go down, unless of course they're building to sell, okay? But it's not something very common, especially in the agency space. Now, the bottom line here, And something I want to ingrain in each and every one of your minds here is that it's possible to earn business owner money without the business owner stress to some capacity, okay? And I say some capacity because, you know, we have to look at what business owner money actually is. Now, to me, when I first started or in my endeavors in SMMA, I just assumed business owner money for me was 10K per month. Okay, let's get that, and you can only get that through a business. I've now come to the understanding from the position I'm in now, I can earn business owner money without being a business owner. Okay, I don't have to stress crazy amounts. I get my weekends. I can breathe after I log out on my computer. I don't have to stress about clients. I can switch off. There's no team under me where, you know, I've got like 10 people underneath me that I have to make sure they're all, you know, looked after and all of that stuff. There's no stress, and I'm still able to make business owner type money where you know, some business owners, they're running a business but they make similar amounts to me or slightly more, but they have an incredible level of stress, and it's just not worth it. So another point to raise here is coming back to the point about to some capacity. Of course, when you're looking to achieve, you know, stuff like a revenue or take-home numbers, right? Take-home numbers of 100K per month, 200K per month, 300K per month and beyond. Yes, business owner, being a business owner could perhaps be the only the only route to go down to achieve that number in a short space of time. The only other ways I can think of is when you're, you know, in a corporate structure and you work your way up, and then that will probably take a decent amount of time, or some other investments, okay? But we're just talking about active working positions here. So that's why it's important to take in the note to some capacity. I'll actually just boldify this to some capacity, because again, you can earn business owner money without the business owner stress. But at the end of the day, you know, it also comes down to the amount you want to make, because it'll be hard to make 100K per month when you're not a business owner, for example. And that's why we've added the point about to some capacity. But for the majority of people that just want to earn 10K, 20K, 30K, 40K and 50K per month, for example, you can definitely achieve that without actually being a business owner yourself, without taking on the stress, and, you know, you're basically taking home that amount. Whereas the business owners, for many business owners, they will generate 50K per month in their business, but that's their revenue. After costs, after all said is done, they'll probably take home around, you know, 15 to 20K, for example. So it honestly, it is a very interesting market, because it comes down to, you know, margins. And just to give you an extreme example here, I was in a Facebook group where there was a business owner who was making 100K per month in sales, but he had 10% profit margins. So what that meant was, after he achieved the 100K month, 90K was going into costs, and he takes home 10K per month. Now you can achieve the issue with that is he's now taking home 10K per month, but he has so much stress, so much cost, and so much a heavy workload as a business owner. Whereas you can achieve that 10K per month as a closer, as a setter, as a fractional operator, marketer, or whatever it may be, or even in a corporate job. Okay, so that's just food for thought there, to understand that depending on the amount you want to earn, it can be possible in a less stressful vehicle. And when you're looking at, you know, assuming that business owners can only achieve this and the big numbers that business owners have, don't be fooled by revenue. Profitability is key, because that will tell you how much essentially they're taking home. And again, the exception here for sort of that not necessarily excuses it altogether, but for most cases, when a company does have low margins, perhaps they are playing the long-term game, okay, where they're building to sell. The example that I just gave, however, this person isn't building to sell. He admitted that his operations is a mess and he's working on rectifying that. So yeah, don't fall into that trap. Make sure that you know what you want to make, and just do your research, okay, guys? Don't be like me, for example, where perhaps you're starting out into this online world and you assume that being an agency owner is the only way to succeed, I can tell you firsthand from experience, it isn't. Now, do I regret going into SMMA and starting an agency all those years ago? Absolutely not. It equipped me with an incredible skill set, gave me an amazing experience, and I've built up such a fantastic network where there's an abundance of opportunities for me, which is fantastic. And it's put me in the position I'm in today, where I'm able to run the operations for a 7-figure coaching company now, where the founders have full confidence in me because of the experience that I picked up as an agency owner, okay? So I don't regret it one bit. But if I was speaking to someone who's, starting from complete zero and they want to actually make a decent amount of money, and if they ask me would I recommend SMMA, it'd be dependent on what their goals are, how much they want to make, and what they want their lifestyle to actually look like beyond money as well, time freedom and all that good jazz. And depending on what they answer, right, if it's just 10k per month, for example, I would tell them that you can just achieve this with less stress as an appointment setter, for example, in a really good company, or as a closer even, where you don't have to have that business owner stress. So yeah, that's some food for thought, right there. So as mentioned already, in this video, we'll briefly just go over some of the vehicles outside of entrepreneurship that you can tap into to make the amount that you want to make. And we'll probably go into this in a bit more detail in a separate video. But here's some examples. The number one vehicle outside entrepreneurship that people absolutely, despise is a job. Now, it goes without saying that social media and YouTube and all of these, different channels, they may have put a bad taste in your mouth about working a normal job. Now, here's the thing, guys. Breaking news, not all jobs are painted the same. Now, you often get, tricked into social media in thinking that, you work a job, you work a slave, and by that I mean you work crazy hours, you're not getting compensated fairly, you don't have time freedom, you're not making enough, you're barely making enough to cover the rent, your lifestyle's crap, etc., etc. Social media and YouTube and, lots of, people that are trying to sell you something, they've done a good job in essentially telling you that the working a job is just not ideal. And in some capacity, for many people, that's true, because depending on the sector that they're in or their current situation, working a job can seem like it's a nightmare. However, the truth of the matter is that there are so many fantastic jobs out there, so many fantastic companies with amazing cultures and, growth opportunities and, progression routes, that it's actually a fantastic vehicle to tap into to potentially achieve your income goals. And it's sort of a shame, because there's such a negative stigma around this, where people are being sort of force-fed entrepreneurship on social media and on YouTube, assuming that's the only route that you have to take in order to live your dream lifestyle and achieve your dream incomes, when in reality, right, it's not. You can work a normal job, okay, because there's so many fantastic companies out there that align with your values, and they have a compensation package and a progressive route which makes sense for you, okay? Now, again, are these type of jobs easy to find? Of course not. But are they impossible? Again, of course not. Don't be fooled by social media and YouTube painting this narrative that every single job and every single, non-business owner venture out there is a bad thing. It's not, okay? I'll give you an example. I technically work a job myself, okay? Actually, I do have a job where, I run the operations for a coaching program. Now, the way I'm paid as a self-employed contractor, but technically speaking, I work for other people and I work for my co-founders, and I'm extremely happy with the culture. I'm extremely happy with my compensation, and I'm extremely happy about the the progressive route that's been laid out for me to achieve my desired income. Okay, and it just makes perfect sense for me. Okay, I went from trying to be a business owner, to make the money I wanted to make, to now in this position where I'm now in a position where I'm making the money that I want to make without the stress, and I actually enjoy it. Okay, and I work for people. So this is this job that people having a job that people claim that there's a negative stigma around having a job. Sorry, I'm just speaking gibberish at the moment. When it comes to people that have given the negative stigma around having a job, please don't be fooled by it. There are jobs out there that are fantastic and that can help you get to your desired income role, just like it did with me. Now, another vehicle is just fractional specialists, and I put down here you'd insert your area of specialty because this is dependent on your skill set. For example, you could be a fractional sales manager where you step into different companies and you actually manage the sales side of things for the companies in question. You can be a fractional operator where you step into different companies and manage the operational side of the business. You could be a fractional finance officer where you step into the business and different businesses and handle their books. You can be a fractional marketer. Again, you're handling their marketing for different companies. You kind of get the drift. And this is a situation where you're not necessarily running your own business, but you're leveraging your area of specialty to step into different companies that need you and work as an in-house expertise for a specific area of specialty. And this is such a fantastic way to actually earn a substantial amount of money. In a way, you can actually argue that this perhaps is sort of like your own business, because people are hiring you and whatnot, and you're having multiple clients to work with, but at the same time it just doesn't feel like a business because you're working in-house with a handful of clients and you're earning a really, really good amount of money to do so because you're focusing on a key area of your specialty as opposed to anything and everything, for example. Okay, and this is a fantastic situation, for example, where people they may have tried their hand at running a business, but they just hated different areas of the business except one. And I've seen this with many different people where, for example, they may have tried their hand at running an agency. They absolutely hated the majority of aspects that go into running an agency, but they like the sales side of things, for example, and they built up such a good reputation as a salesperson, as a sales expert. They're able to actually step into the different companies and help them with that specific area. So this is another really good common vehicle outside of entrepreneurship, for example, that can get you to your desired income goals. Now, another vehicle, very, very common, one that's becoming very prominent, especially in the past year or so, is to become a closer, a sales rep, okay, and to then transition into sales management in the long term. Now, this is one of this, and I'm going to preface the setter role as well. These two are two of the most underrated positions ever, because the amount of money that you can actually make from these two positions without actually having to have business owner stress, it's actually amazing, and it's fantastic for a lot of people, because with closers, we'll start off with closers in particular, depending on what your the company you're working for, the commission structure, and the type of calls that you'd be taking on a day-to-day basis, and the volume of calls you can, and of course your sales ability, you can easily make anywhere between 10k per month, 20k per month, even 30k per month and beyond. Okay, this is an incredible sector where when you operate in a role where it's purely based off of commission and you're selling selling things of high ticket, whether it's online programs or physical products, even, I don't know, like solar installations or stuff like that, you can really make a lot of money. And again, the beauty of this is that as a closer, you're only focused on, keeping your pipeline full, managing your pipeline, and just closing deals. You don't have to worry about managing a business, managing a team, looking after clients after signing them on, unless you also assist, with the support side of things. But for 99.9% of closers, they just focus on closing, and it's an extremely lucrative field. And I've seen so many people transition from entrepreneurship and being a business owner with the hope of earning their dream income from being a business owner, only to absolutely hate it and pivot into being a closer, and now they make their desired income that they originally wanted to make from running a business. Okay, now our company, with our company, not all the closers, but the majority of closers that we've actually had, they consist of entrepreneurs who try to run their hand, or have their hand at trying to run their own agency, and they just didn't like it. However, they like the sales side of things, and now they operate as a closer. They make fantastic money, more than they ever did when they were trying to run a business, and they've got their dream income, not necessarily the dream income, but what was once their dream income from what they wanted from their agency, and now they're working towards a bigger goal, of course. And it's amazing to see, because they just went from, just like myself, for example, thinking that they failed completely with a business, only to then achieve incredible success in a different position, and in this case, sales and being a closer. So again, if for example, you're someone that is good at sales, you love sales, the sales aspect side of things, look into closing opportunities, look into sales opportunities, guys, specifically commission-based roles where you aren't capped, okay, and companies where they are selling something of value, they've got a good reputation, the call volume is great, and all that good stuff. Because when you're in the right vehicle, okay, you can really, really succeed with this role. And I've seen it firsthand with a lot of people. And let's just say you're in the long term, you don't want to be stuck on the phones every single day, because I appreciate how for many of you that may not be the case, where in the long term you don't want to do it, because it is a very intense role. Funnily enough, I tried my hand at it for 3 days and I quit. I quit before I got offered the role I'm in now a week later. But yeah, you can transition into management in the long term. So this is another thing that I want to actually talk to you about here, is that when you're operating as a closer, for example, in the long term, you may become a sales manager for the team, for the company that you're working with. So you go off the phones and you start to manage your sales reps. Now, it's important to understand that these two positions are not the same whatsoever. When you actually become a sales manager, it's a matter of just managing your team, training them, helping them close better, and all that good jazz. Whereas closer, you're focused on being the best salesperson you could possibly be. And that's why with a lot of closers, they struggle to get into management, or succeed in management, because they're just not best, they're not suited for it. And they're better off sticking with the phones, which there's nothing wrong with. But that is a direction that you can take if, of course, it's something that appeals to you, and it's just another area to take advantage of in terms of boosting your income. And it's similar to the fractional stuff we talked about here, where once you're embedded within a company and you have a substantial level of seniority, you really have leverage to start asking for things like equity and profit share in the long term. And that's how you want to think of these things. You don't want to just look at these vehicles as things that will get you to your desired income here. You really want to start thinking about going beyond that and achieving stuff like equity and profit share to go beyond your initial income goals, because it's more than possible once you achieved a certain level of importance and a neededness. I don't think that's a word, but a certain level of importance, and a need for what you have from your founders in the company that you're at. So yeah, and finally, setters. So these are people that they basically set appointments for the company in question, and they get paid for every single appointment that they set. And this is again, it's such a fantastic market, especially for people that are looking to earn 10k per month, okay? Because you can literally earn that amount of money from being a setter from the comfort of your home, and spending your hours reaching out to people, prospecting, setting appointments, okay? And again, of course, this is also dependent on working in the right company where they've got the appropriate compensation structure, and more importantly, they're selling something that actually works and sells. This is another important thing to actually understand, and it reminds me, when you're actually looking at these different vehicles, guys, obviously it goes without saying, with a job, we already spoke about the importance of working in a job that provides you with the correct infrastructure to achieve what you want to achieve. When you're looking at fractional roles in different areas of specialty, when you're looking at to become a salesperson, a setter, you need to make sure that you're working for a company that's actually good, and they actually sell something worthwhile. Now, when it comes to, let's just say, corporate, for example, and all these big corporate companies, of course, majority of them are good because they got an incredible reputation and all that jazz. But let's just speak in the context of online companies and or online agencies, for example, that aren't in the scale of these corporate companies. You want to make sure that they're actually selling something good and they've got a good reputation, okay? And their infrastructure is set up correctly. Because if they're not, you will struggle to succeed, irregardless of how good you are. It doesn't matter how good of a salesperson you are. It doesn't matter how good of a setter you are. If the infrastructure isn't there, then you'll struggle to make a career for yourself. For closers specifically, I work with someone right now, for example, where they're doing extremely well with us as a closer. But prior to us, he actually worked for a company where he was only getting one sales call a day, and one or two sales calls a day or something. And the infrastructure is not correct because he doesn't have the volume required in order to make the money that he desires to make, right? Whereas with us, for example, we're able to provide up to 10 calls per day, Monday to Friday, with the option of working on the weekends as well. So that's another important thing to note. You need to ensure that there's an appropriate infrastructure in place for you to actually succeed in these roles that I'm mentioning here. And that will actually be a separate video which I'll include on the channel as well. But yeah, appointment setter, another fantastic role to tap into to actually make a decent amount of money without having to endure the business owner stress. So again, business owner money without the business owner stress to some capacity, because being an appointment setter, it could only take you so far. And of course, you can also transition into management in the long run, okay? Friend of mine, someone that I work with who's also a friend, I consider pretty much everyone I work with a friend, to be honest. He's transitioned from being a setter to now he's managing 6 or 7 appointment setters under him, okay? And now he's making a really decent chunk of change, and he'll continue to do so, and he loves the management side of things, okay? So now he's not stuck all day typing out messages and sending voice notes or anything of that nature. It's a much more relaxed position with a higher level of importance, with less workload for him, but more money, okay? And that's a fantastic example of how to transition from roles to getting into management, to be able to earn more and increase your capacity to do other things, okay? So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Bit of a long one, guys, but it's very important to understand how much do you want to make, so that you have a better understanding of the vehicles in front of you and the routes that you can actually take, whether a business is needed or it isn't. And for many of you, it's unlikely that a business is needed to earn the money that you want to earn. And that's why I want to actually highlight here, because for many of you, you are potentially setting yourself up for a period of unhappiness to achieve a level of income that you can easily achieve elsewhere. So yeah, hopefully if you guys found this video valuable, If you do, leave a comment below with any questions that you may have regarding it, and with any other topics that you'd want to see moving forward. Again, on this channel, I'm literally going to cover I'm just going to cover everything from being a successful recoverpreneur, a recovering entrepreneur, and leveraging your existing skill sets and experiences to succeed out of entrepreneurship and achieve the desired money that you only thought would be possible with entrepreneurship, when it's actually possible in many other places outside of it. So yeah, hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.